Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. Today, we're going to be talking about the lore set, or Ancient Heroes, and this is the first design of its kind, where you get 10 different promo cards, 2 of each type, so just as a good FYI, you need to buy 2 of them to get the full playset. But then also, what I'm really excited for, other than the 2 cards at the end that we're going to talk about, is the lore book. So this is going to be an actual building of the world, right? We finally get to care more about going beyond the vanilla that everyone loves so much, right, in the set. We are now getting a 30-page book that talks about what happened in set 1, what happened in set 2 with the Void Lords, and then talking a little bit about what the future plans are for the world itself. So obviously this is landing right before Aquatic Invaders, or set 3 just a month before. And it, will have a little bit of a shakeup for the format, as well as help guide the Pro Tour in terms of, will we see another Elemental Spark kind of shakeup where one deck really kind of takes it all, or is it going to be something that we need to wait a little bit longer for set 3 to see where this wanted to go? But I am really excited because I think there's some good stuff here that, if it gets expanded on, could be really insane in set 3. And then 2 cards in particular, like, we just needed these cards for these colors, and I think they're absolutely insane. So yes, while the product overall, if we think about each individual card itself, might not be the most exciting, I think there are some absolute bangers in this one that you're going to want to pick up if it is the colors that you like to play. So with that out of the way, and with the little preview of the lore book on the side, let's just jump right into it. So we have the 6 Aegis Emperor K. So again, this is going to be a new family archetype that all comes together in this lore set, which as of right now probably won't be its own like mini deck that you build, but there are some pieces that you might want to pick up and play for other decks. 7 cost, 3 reduction. When summoned from your trash, select 1 spirit of each of the following colors: purple, yellow, white, green, and blue. So obviously not red, so you can't just loop itself and return it to your hand. This is by itself just kind of a fine card, right? This does open up quite a few deck building strategies where, if there are things like the elementals that you want to loop back, heaven forbid you have Smag in there somewhere, right? You want to loop back some of the other things that you're playing off color, right? Where Smag gives you all the reductions, and you're playing like a 5 or 6 color deck, you can grab basically everything but Smag back, and then just draw into the other ones to get the multicolor reduction. So it does now really start to open up where we have more of this, do we rely on Reanimator? Do we rely on K and just have a bunch of strong when summons? I just like the open deck building flexibility that it's going to do, which can then only get better as more sets come on and more the card pool gets deeper, right? Because we're always just going to have a better variety of what we're doing. Now, at least for where we're at today, for most decks, right, you're only splashing 2 or 3 colors at most. So this is likely just going to be a +1 or +2 if you just think about from the pure card advantage standpoint. But again, if we're able to get things back that have a strong when summoned, or, have a good bounce effect that can help swing the tempo even more, that then can have a special when attacks figure, right? There's a lot of different avenues for just getting card advantage and letting this card snowball over the course of several games, but at least for where it is right now, and we want to think about what it means for the overall 6 Aegis Emperor War Dragon deck. Yes, it's just meant to get back those cards so that you can have them all on the field and all come together for a kind of victory turn, as it were. Then the other part of this, when the spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits with 3,000 or fewer BP for each spirit with a different colored symbol and destroy them. So this is really important because, again, it really does help build into that more payoff idea that we really want to play a 5 or 6 color style of deck to kind of bring this all together and to get the most value of it. Again, immediately comes to mind that you want to be playing the elementals, because we do have at least 3 of them that could support this, because you're already going to have red, right? So you play the white, purple, and yellow ones. And then, of course, with set 3 right around the corner, when we get blue, then there might be some elemental or some other thing that we can have a lower cost to really get the value in it. And if you think about the average games, right, unless you're going against white, so this is really going to shine against, yellow, some other lower the ground red deck, or some green decks if they don't have the Dynamo out to make them all 4K, this can turn into a multi-kill 3K effect, which is really, really strong. Then we know in the future we could also see effects that increase how much BP we're destroying at a turn, where it goes from 3K up to 4K or 5K, which could really help enable this card. So again, I think it's a really fun card for right now, and it does have a lot of card advantage things you can be doing, but overall, it is just the centerpiece for the lore set, just from a who they are standpoint, and a card and name I'm expecting that we will see a lot more of in the future. Moving on from there, we have the Imperator of Manaka. This is something we saw first previewed at the Pro Tour that is really just saying, hey, I don't like Void Lord Spirits, right? And you do get to do some cool stuff where you combo it, but this one's kind of interesting, right? So we have the obvious combo with the 2-drop we'll talk about shortly. So when summoned, select one of your opponent's Void Lord Spirits and destroy it. Just good on destroy effects are very, very strong in this game, right? Even if we think about Dream Bomb, even removing something for a turn, can be really, really good. So there are going to be ways that if we see more Void Lords printed in set 3, even if they play a smaller role, this card could have a major impact, and maybe it is just sideboard, but it is something that we want to have as part of the payoff for the, again, kind of War General Aegis combo team that we're assembling because it is purple and also because of its level 3. Moving into its level 2, when the spirit attacks, you may select one of your opponent's exhausted spirits and attack it. So this is really great. It reminds me of one of my favorite shadows from set 1, right? Just getting that on-spot removal. However, it is only a 6K, where with these shadows, you can buff them up with Abandoned Guillotine. So there is a little bit of, if it's strictly at level 2, because going up to 6 cores can be a lot, right? There is a little bit more work that you need to do for that. But then at the level 3, when the spirit attacks, gain 5,000 BP for each War Dragon or General Spirit you control. So going from a 10K to a 15K is going to be insane for just, hey, your opponent doesn't want to really attack, right? Because you always have the ability to threaten back the attacks with Manaka being able to pick them off. Now, again, if they do have the protection from purple, right? So you don't get to level 2. If they have armor purple, you can't select it. So with Manaka going up to that 15K, it's obviously something that's going to be very strong at attacking, making it very difficult for your opponent to block, and just being a good attacker when you want them to be, with the added flexibility of being able to remove their spirits as well if there's something problematic that you can block out for a turn. So I do like this role of having some good removal on it, right? It's just a very strong purple card for what it can do, but ultimately I think there are things like Mordred that you still want to play, right? It doesn't trigger off Beldegor's Immortal. There are other ways I think that just line up a little bit better, that unless we get more ways to really make things Void Lords, it is going to fall off a little bit from where we might want it to be overall. And then moving on from there, from our last kind of like big spirit that is kind of, taking a spotlight in the lore set itself, is the Heroic Worm Lord Dragon. So at level 1, 2, and 3, it gains Confront if you have a burst card set. Which is really interesting because we are seeing more of this like conditional confront, the life threshold, the burst threshold, all that various stuff that's coming together. And this is one that you can also, if it's early enough in the game, right, you get to control if you have Confront or if you don't want it, right? But 2 for 6 can be quite strong. So I do like the BP kind of thresholds for 1 and 2. Very easy to power this up. But then the really spicy one here, I think a lot of people are looking forward to, is the level 3. So while this spirit attacks, when your opponent activates a burst card that does not share a color with any of the symbols in their field, place 1 core from their life into their reserve. So it's a burn effect. This is the first burn effect that we are getting besides like Elk, right? This is more of a when attacking, being aggressive with it, right? This is something we expect to see in red decks going forward. And yes, while it is conditional, this is going to be a hint at what we might see from set 3 and set 4 going forward. So I really do like this as maybe not a direct absolute ice shield counter, but something that players are definitely gonna have to respect, that, unless you have a Nexus or a Spirit or something, right, that's on the field, you might want to try to activate that absolute ice shield, but it is just going to burn in your hand. So I really do like this one. Obviously, it's full art. It has a gold border. That's really, really nice to see. These cards did look amazing in person at Gen Con when they had them on the display. So really looking forward to getting these in hand. Now, of course, the goodest boy, the one that I'm excited about, is the Light Aegis General Felinus, which is a 2-drop. It is also a Fabled Beast, so it does cycle that way. So you may select one of your opponent's spirits. It gains a Void Lord spirit type during this turn. So this is really interesting, right? Because now we do have the ability to make like a yellow-purple style of deck, which can be very strong. And we've already seen some of these yellow-purple decks kind of pop up in set 1 and in set 2 that have been kind of developing over turn. But this is finally something that could really bring them together, where yes, you are now having to use a 2-card combo, but a 2-card combo to remove something still in the context of Battle Spirits Saga and where it exists today is very, very strong. And then you're getting 2 bodies off of it as well. So like that does help you just push for that damage if you really want to. And again, if they don't have that armor purple and they're trying to sit behind one big threat, now suddenly you're able to transform them, knock them out, and make sure that you're able to swing through for damage. So this is one that, again, maybe I'm just biased because of yellow, because the card that we're going to talk about at the very end, which is very, very insane. I'm really excited to see where this lines up. I really wish, the one thing I will say, that it should have been a 2 for 4. Just let us have more 4Ks in yellow. I realize why we can't, but it would be so nice if we could just have a couple more sticky threats that we can get on the board early for yellow, just to make sure that we're establishing that early game is quickly as we want to. But overall, I think this is going to be more of a purple splash yellow deck than a yellow splash purple deck, because some of the other control tools that we have in purple anyways kind of get us there in what we want to be doing. But this is something, again, that could be expanded on in set 3 to make this really shine. But it is a cute 2-card combo that I'm really excited to see how it develops in the meta overall. Moving on from there, we have the Ice Aegis General L01. So it's a 4-drop 2 reduction. All your Imperator and Aegis General spirits gain armor red, purple, white during the attack step, during either attack step, excuse me. So this is really interesting because this is like the 3 key armors that you would want. So from an overall standpoint and where these generals want to be, giving them the best 3 protections that you could ask for, right, is going to be a great way to make sure your guys are sticking on the board and also being offensive when you really want them to, because this does make it very difficult for your opponent to do those sweet combat tricks they might want to be doing. Now, again, the counter argument is that they could just do their volcanic break, for example, during the main step right before you go into a combat, but then it forces them to kind of use those cores on their turn where you want to be defensive with it, and now you have the ability to react how you want to because they have fewer cores available to them during the combat step. So there is some benefit there. I do wish it would get for the same reason I just mentioned. I wish this one would have gotten up to 7K just to have that little bit extra protection, just from a number balancing standpoint. But overall, I think this is a very strong protection card for your generals if we start to see like a multicolor reduction come online, which is what the deck absolutely needs, like a Nexus to bring it all together, or something else that allows us to, you know, that's not just Smag, have a benefit for being able to play all these off-color spirits. Moving on from there, and, you know, not a general, but someone that's definitely worth the shout out himself, Revolutionary Zeon, the 9-cost blue spirit, and the first blue spirit that we're actually getting in Battle Spirits Saga. When the spirit attacks, you may select a Nexus card from your trash and place it. So the key point here is that it does not say place it for free, so we do have to pay the cost. But hey, getting to loop Nexus is a key part of blue and something that's going to be very, very strong. However, with set 3 right around the corner, I don't think anyone's going to be excited for this blue card in general. It's just too expensive for what it wants to be doing, and we will get other blue cards once the blue decks are around that will just do this better. So this is one that I really appreciate the lore side of it, that's based on a historical figure in Japan, which is a really cool nod in that direction too. So I love that he got a full art artwork, and he's also very important from the lore side of it as well. But ultimately, this is one of the cards that I'm just not as excited for in the set in general, even though I am very excited for blue in general with set 3 right around the corner. Moving on from there, and we talked about this one a little bit on the podcast, so make sure to check out the Church of Penton if you haven't already, because this one is a little bit of a miss as well. So 5 cost, 3 reduction, Victory Oath. When placed, you and your opponent each draw 2 cards, so it does have that group hug mentality behind it. But then what's interesting is during your attack step, when one of your spirits destroys one of your opponent's spirits with 3,000 or fewer BP in battle, you may refresh it. This is cool if you have a bunch of confront stuff and you're going against like a yellow deck who is going to just draw a bunch of guys and try to block you out. Like, I understand where they were trying to go with this Nexus, but the level 2 payoff, in my opinion, isn't quite strong enough. But if you go against one of your opponents that are playing yellow, right, and you can do the aha gotcha with this, yeah, it's going to board wipe them, and it's going to be really strong in that regard, right? So there are some things that you could do, or if you want to combo with like a red yellow deck, and if you want to play like a confront, angelic pressure, drowsy fume sort of thing, you could board wipe them that way as well. So like there are certain combos that you can pull together with this, and with like the BP manipulation being such a strong thing out of yellow, and especially with like Exhaust Nexus, right? So there are a few things and a few cute combos that we can do with this, right? Exhaust Nexus plus this is likely going to lead into a board wipe if you have something with confront. But, and then again, it might say like, what else is the deck doing that you couldn't just do in red or in yellow by itself? But hey, more deck building options is always a good thing, and I'm sure someone can brew up something absolutely insane with this if they really wanted to, but I do think the level 1, unfortunately, is going to be a huge drawback for this Nexus for the competitive play, because you just don't want to give your opponent free cards if you don't have to. The green Nexus, the Imperator's Great War. During the attack step, when one of your Imperator or Aegis General spirits destroys one of your opponent's spirits in battle, you may exhaust this Nexus and place a core onto it. Cool. Get some ramp, that's totally fine. But during your attack step, when one of your spirits reduces your opponent's life, you may discard a card to draw a card. So This one's a little bit more interesting. Like, there is some cool stuff that green wants to be doing, since they seem to be leaning into the playing from behind side of green, where you want to discard some stuff. And we're going to talk about a specific card here in a moment, why we want to discard. But like, Beldegors are fine to discard here as well. So this is one of those ones where it's like, I feel like there's definitely going to be a deck built for this in set 3. And there's kind of already a deck for this in set 2, even, where it's like, yeah, I get the level 1's not like all that exciting, and green didn't have that amazing of Nexus cards anyways, but this one at least feels more in that direction where we can get some use out of it. So once I did a little bit more theory crafting, and once I was trying to put some like decks together for, again, what I assume is going to happen after all the Grand opens and before the Pro Tour, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm kind of coming around on this. I do like where this Nexus wants to be. It's maybe not the greatest thing that we're going to be doing, but I like what it opens up for green and some of the archetypes that haven't really had a chance to shine yet, but I think will after this lore set. So again, the first effect is kind of whatever. You already have enough stuff in green where you're ramping. You really don't care about that. But I do think that the level 2 is going to be something that can really help green decks chug along, because they were just lacking a good Nexus quite a bit. And again, if you are playing something that gets value out of discarding them, hint, hint, you know, you can also just get the free card draw side of it, which can feel really good. Moving into the big 2 that I'm so excited about, and I think, like, if you are playing yellow or green, like, you just have to buy this set. It is so good for those 2 colors in particular. And I gotta say, right, if we think about the tournament results so far, if we think about where those 2 colors have been, the 2 colors that needed the most out of this lore set were yellow and green, and they absolutely got it with some huge, huge pickups. So the big one is Godslaying, 4 cost, 3 reduction, does have a burst effect, which we don't really care about. But the thing we do care about is the flash. When resolving the next battle this turn, compare the cost rather than the BP. The spear with the higher BP, or the higher cost, is destroyed in battle. Its costs are equal. Both spirits are destroyed. Spoiler, if you're playing 2-drop, if you're playing Luster, your guys are going to be smaller. So now Godslaying is a way that says we are always going to be threatening a way to get damage or get destruction with our 2 costs. So now suddenly, I don't care if you have like a big 8 cost, right? I am going to kill it with my little Pentan. So I think Godslaying is a card that we've absolutely have needed and really been waiting for it for yellow, and one that is going to be a huge, huge, huge upgrade for the deck overall. So again, I know that yellow's been kind of on the back foot for a while, but I think Godslaying is absolutely cracked and something worth, buying the set for. And then from there, I don't know if people just haven't realized it yet, but this card is scary. This card is cracked. This card is going to get some big headaches right around the corner once it's actually legal. But Wind Aegis General Tokiwa. So we finally have a even better Tokiwa than we could have asked for. It's a 5 cost, 3 reduction. It's stupid cheap to play. It's in green, so we're ramping. We're vomiting our hand. Like, this just does everything we could be asking for. It's also a Beldegor target, because why couldn't it be just a Beldegor target as well? During opponent's end step, at the start of the step, if you have fewer cards in your hand than your opponent has in theirs, you may pay the Soul Core to return this card from your trash to your hand. This is a perma attacker for what green wants to be doing. It's a perma Beldegor trigger. It is just so spicy. But the thing that really brings it together, it's nice that it goes up to a 5k, but while this spirit attacks Gale 2, your opponent now has to either always take a damage or lose 3 blockers when this guy comes across the board. Tokiwa is going to be here to finish games, and finish games quickly in green. If you've been playing some more of the green aggro or lower the ground green decks already, then you know how good those early Thorn Prisons can be. And now we have something that's just Thorn Prison on a body effectively every turn that we want it to be. This is great. This is just absolutely insane. And again, it is totally fine in multiples as well, because if your first Tokiwa gets blocked and dies, they just lost 3 blockers, right? Chances are you are either getting in for damage with another spirit, or the next Tokiwa is going unchecked. And then on top of that, you still have the Soul Core back to bring back the first one, right? So again, absolutely cracked, absolutely insane. I am so happy that yellow and green got huge upgrades in the lore set, that I am so excited to see what those decks look like right after the lore set drops. So again, overall, for the other colors, I get that this product might not be the most exciting. We have to wait and see if set 3 is going to expand on the Aegis Generals and War Dragons kind of theme, as it were. But at least for giving a good noticeable boost to yellow and green, this product absolutely did the job. And well, for me, just like in the lore, I'm really excited to get a 30-page or I think 28-page lore book, whatever it is, to just read up about how the world's going to shape up. What can we look forward to in Aquatic Invaders and even beyond, right? We know that there's going to be the revival of Spirits happening in Set 4. So I think there is a lot of really cool stuff coming. And then on top of that, we should have Set 5 news in the next couple weeks as well, which should be a new mechanic. So there's a lot of good stuff coming around the corner. But with that, I will be going to PA this weekend. I'm obviously recording this the day before, hopefully a trailer drop, so we might do a video tomorrow, but I will be playing out in Monroeville this weekend. I still am not sure what deck I'm going to be playing. I have to submit that tonight, but we'll see. So for all the summoners that are going there, I can't wait to see you. Hopefully we have to get some good games in and all that good stuff. But otherwise, my friends, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.